Hey everyone and welcome. We are Next Level Business Advisors and this is Business Stories of Success. If you want to break through and achieve your own business success by learning from other successful business owners, you're in the right channel. For more of our content, make sure you click subscribe and don't forget the bell icon so you're the first to be notified when new videos are added. Enjoy today's video.
Hello. You're with Marc Adams at Next Level Business Advisors, and today we are joined by Mr. Matthew Gray of the Business Hawaiian Food Tours. And I should be saying aloha because he's in beautiful Hawaii. How are you, sir?
Aloha, Mark. Thank you for inviting me on today. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm excited. I have had the pleasure of interviewing people from different parts of the world, but not Hawaii. So that in and of itself made me excited. But then when I heard your story, you stand alone. When I heard your story, it's even more exciting. You've got a lot already that you've shared with me before we even got into recording. I've learned already a lot just today.
That's right. We should have had those pre-interviews. We should have taped those and actually let the people in on our lives. It would have been a nice glimpse into who we are.
It would have been. People would have been chomping at the bit to learn more. But we got some things for them today. I know we do.
Perfect.
So before I get into it, because sometimes I yammer a lot, I want you to tell us who you are and a little bit about your business.
Okay, great. Well, I was born in New York to a
I didn't know
wonderful...
that.
Yeah, I was born in New York. My family moved to Los Angeles when I was 10 years old. They did not tell me at the time, but I eventually caught up with them. And then in early 90s, I moved here to Hawaii. I've been a chef my entire life. I've always been involved with people, food, taking care of folks. I'm kind of a people pleaser type. I traveled with the Eagles on their Hotel California tour, Pink Floyd,
Wow.
Fleetwood Mac, and a lot of other major rock and roll bands. So my world's always been about entertainment, food, and taking care of others.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So you know celebrities and the whole bit. So now, we were talking about Hawaii Food Tours. You were giving me some glimpse into what you do in that, and you told me you pivoted. So we're going to talk about that. But tell us about how you started that business, what it was about, and tell us about the pivot, because I think that's important for people, especially in this day and age, to learn how to be adaptable. So please.
Oh yeah, well the pivot's a really smart thing right now for everybody because no one wants to work, no one wants to hire people, the right people. But I will tell you about Hawaii Food Tours. I started that in 2004 after having the best job in the world, which was the Restaurant Critic, restaurant food writer for Hawaii's largest newspaper. I did that for several years, but I was invisible. So I decided I'm going to start a company called Hawaii Food Tours. I'm going to feed, educate, and entertain people every day about the food, the people, the architecture, and the culture of Hawaii. So we started that in 2004, had a fantastic and famous run all the way until March of 2020 when COVID crushed us.
Wow. And so what happened at that point? Well, first of all, just that's amazing to me. When we were talking the first time, I was like, you're a food critic? Like, that's so cool. But then you actually went from that to actually helping others to understand the beauty of Hawaii even more. I told you, I think I went to Hawaii one time. I went to Maui, and the most beautiful island in the world that I've seen, I should say. And I think if my daddy hears this, he might slap me because he's from St. Thomas, the island. But sorry, Papa. It's just a little bit better. But now you moved on. You said you had this amazing business and it crushed you because of COVID. Obviously, for those of us who lived it, we understand why, right? I guess the travel industry must cratered and all of those things. But how did you survive? What did you do?
Well, the Hawaii Food Tours was a very high-touch business. It was very face-to-face. It was very in the flesh. It was with people in the van, out of the van, around the streets, and so on.
Sounds amazing.
So, it was my baby, and being able to come out from an unidentified place as a food critic for a newspaper into the real world where people actually got to see me and know my identity was a fantastic thing. But the pivot occurred when COVID happened. I said, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I've had a really successful run with Hawaii Food Tours. What makes me feel the best? So I questioned myself and I went through that whole process and I decided taking care of people is going to continue to be what I want to do with my future. So I decided at that time to help people with their health. And I have a personal story. My personal story is that, 10, 12 years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. I was on,
Wow.
I was on a half dozen medications. And, and that's what happens to some people when they're in the food world and they're living life to excess, and there's too much partying, there's too much drinking, and there's too much eating constantly. So when 2020 rolled around, I said to myself, there are people out there, probably half the population, probably half of your listeners right now are fighting food related issues or diabetes or some combination of those two things, because that's what I was. And I was able to overcome and reverse my diabetes completely. And now, 10, 12 years later, I am on zero medications. 100 pounds
Wow.
later, I'm healthier than ever, and I'm twice your age, I would say at least, and probably twice the age of most of the listeners who are listening right now. So I decided I wanted to kind of turn myself into the guy who's lived the life and now wants to kind of pay it forward and return the favor to people.
That's awesome. Awesome. Um, Very complimentary. You can't be twice my age, but that's very complimentary. But now we have moved then from Hawaii food tours to something completely different. Still in the helping people stay. So what's your new business? How do we work with you if we want to work with you? Tell us about that.
The new business is, well, first of all, think about the last time you went to a doctor. Did the doctor ask you what you ate? No. Probably
No.
spent 5 minutes with you, probably listened to your heartbeat, looked in your eyes, looked in your ears, looked in your nose, and then maybe took a blood test. And the next
Hmm.
time you went back, he said, "Oh, you've got such and such. I'm going to write you a prescription. Goodbye." And that's the extent of their knowledge when it comes to nutrition. Fortunately, I have a wonderful education, and I've been working with scientists and doctors for the past almost 3 years since the COVID thing happened.
Mm.
And so with all this new information, new technology, the way that people can get a hold of me is just contacting me via email or come to my website. And if you've got issues with medication, weight, diabetes, or whatever, I'm definitely the guy who's going to help, because what I do is that I make sure that there are results, and I do a money back guarantee, and I do free consultation and the whole bit like that. So almost everyone that you and I know is on medications. So what we want to do is
Hmm.
want people to live a healthier and happier life. I know the key to that. A lot of it is this high touch communication stuff, but a lot of it is also the science that I've been fortunate enough to be able to gather and absorb.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now, what's the name of the website? We need to know.
Well, you can reach me at hawaiifoodtours.com, which is the famous
Okay.
business we were just talking about. And that's
Yes.
a really easy way to find my phone number or my email address, or lovelife.com, as in let's all love life a little bit more.
I
And
like that.
we're going to be definitely reachable there and be able to build that out and so on. So I'm reachable at lovelife.com and hawaiifoodtours.com if you want to come visit. And if you are going to be visiting Hawaii, on the other hand, and you are an eater and you are a traveler, I did release my book called The Ultimate Eater's Guide, the Hawaii edition. And that is
Wow.
something that is fantastic. It was released on Valentine's Day, so it's current and new. And it's like post-COVID information. So if people
Nice.
want to do the travel thing and you enjoy eating, I'll tell you the right places to go, and I'll steer you clear from the things that you should not be doing.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get back to Hawaii. If I do, I'm gonna I'm gonna get that book and check it out for
And you know
sure.
what? Get the book and bring your dad so he can see how beautiful it is here.
Oh, that's a good idea. I might do that. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna have to check. He might. That would be a fun trip.
I know.
You've given me an
Yeah.
idea.
It
You've given
is.
me an
Hawaii is
idea.
a great place to visit, and
I love
it's
it.
a
I love
great
it.
place to eat if you choose the right places. So I don't allow people to go to chain restaurants or chain coffee houses or anything like that. So I make sure that my information is really, really solid, and that you learn about the culture and you get to taste the flavors and the foods of this wonderful salad bowl called Hawaii.
I love it. Oh, that sounds beautiful. You paint a gorgeous picture.
You
So
got
let
to
me,
paint pictures with your words, buddy.
that's right. You're right about that. So let me ask you this question. Now, I
Yeah.
want to do this to set up the next phase of our discussion. Just in general, like put all together, how long have you been in business?
Oh gosh, I'm 64 right now. I was on the road with the Eagles when I was 17.
Whoa.
So that puts it
Okay.
in perspective for you. It's been 45 years
Wow.
that
Okay.
I've been doing all different kinds of crazy things and setting Robin Williams' house on fire and
Mm?
traveling with yeah. You know, I used to
Say again?
I used to cook for a lot of people in the business, let's just say. And one night I was cooking for Robin Williams. I had a company called Pamper and Dine, and that provided massage and fine dining inside people's homes. So
Wow.
one night we're at Robin Williams' house. The massage took place by my partner, who's my girlfriend at the time. She does the massages ahead of time while I'm in your kitchen preparing you a beautiful customized dinner that we pre-planned. And so I was flambeing some filet mignon. I added a little bit too much cognac to the experience in the pan. Boom, it burst and, kind of exploded, singed the eyebrows, set the drapes on fire. Cops, fire departments, the whole bit. So yeah, I have that as like a notch on my belt now.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, just these kind of crazy, wild experiences. So, when people say been there, done that, a lot of times it has to do with how many years you've lived. You had the opportunity to do a lot of interesting, creative things. So I'm fortunate to
Yes.
say that I'm still here and been able to
To tell
survive. They
about it.
tell me I had a really good time in the old days, so I believe them.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So you've been in the business game for a lot of years. So
Yeah.
this is the question that most people tune in for. How do you define success?
Probably following your path. If you can make some money along the way, that's great. I have always been the one who goes after the creative stuff. So I thank God for the what I call the functionaries in the world who are able to pull off jobs like bank tellers and grocery shop folks and attendants at gas stations and mechanics who can do the day in day out stuff because they make it possible for people like me who are true creatives to do our thing. I could not exist without those great people doing their jobs. And
Right.
so for me, defining success is being able to do my creative dance and be able to piece it together. It hasn't been easy, I'll tell you that. There have been times I haven't been able to pay my rent. And there have been
Okay.
times where I have suffered from anxiety and depression, just like everybody else. I'm real.
Mm.
But it's always been about following the path that I was able to forge. Also, another part of success is knowing who to trust, knowing who to believe, knowing who to listen to. So there's some sort of an internal
Wow.
guiding light. Some people call it intuition, and you have to know when to, recognize good advice and when it's time to ignore the advice that's coming at you. So I've been fortunate in that I've succeeded more than I've tripped up,
I like that.
but I have tripped up a lot.
Hmm.
So it hasn't been all fun and games, and especially these last 3 years for all of us has been really, really difficult.
Right, right, right. I agree with you there. Let me ask you this. You made that statement and I like it. Well, first of all, you said you succeeded more than you tripped up, but you have tripped up. So I want to just talk for a couple of minutes, if you don't mind, about both sides of that equation. What are some of the things that you do as part of a practice to be successful in an ongoing way?
I eat right now,
Okay.
finally, after so many years. And you know what? When you eat right and you feel healthy, you feel happier. And when you have less of an appetite because you're eating the right foods, you are healthier and you're stronger and you have more time to devote to other things instead of stuffing food in your face. And
Okay.
so it allows me to do more creative things, allows me to use my brain a little bit more. And It allows me to focus on the important things in life, which are the relationships, which is making new friends like you, and to be able to devote time to people who need the help. And, I'm in that stage now where I'm in a pay it forward mode, but helping others is going to help me also.
I
So
like that.
I'm being totally honest. When I help you and I help the people who are listening to us right now get over stuff that's bothering them, and I hear the success and I see the twinkle in their eye and the smile on their face, I'm tripping, man. I'm doing good. And
Nice.
so helping you is going to help me. And so it's not completely unselfish, but I will get the results. I will help you get to that next level.
I like it. I like it. So then your success is actually, and I've heard this before. In fact, I like to say it. I like to relish in the success of others. Like when I advise a business owner and then I see the positive results, like, okay, it doesn't always work, but when it does work and you see the positive results, that just makes my day, right? I want to see other people successful. And so that's a nice measure of success. And then I like what you mentioned. I've never heard anyone say, what helps me to be successful is to eat right. Yeah, I've never heard that one. That one's a new one for me. And that's why I love doing these interviews. I get different perspectives from different folks. So then those are the things that you've done to be successful. So here's my next question. What is one big mistake that you've made in your business journey beside setting Robin Williams' house on fire? But before you answer that, I'm going to take one brief pause.
Sounds good.
Do you know what it takes to be successful as a business owner? There are 5 keys that every business owner has to master in order to be successful. How do I know these keys? Well, I used to say that I made them up, but really, I've learned these 5 keys in 2 ways. My name is Marc Adams. I'm the owner of Next Level Business Advisors and the host of the podcast, Business Stories of Success. In the podcast, we discuss success with business owners from around the world. We talk about what it means to them, how they achieve it, and the single biggest quality or personality trait that's needed in order to be successful. As a profitability and growth business advisor, I work with business owners around the country to help them increase profit and or accelerate growth. Now I say or because some business owners aren't properly positioned to accelerate growth. In those cases, we actually focus on honing in on profitability. If you are a business owner and you're excited about improving your profit or accelerating your growth, feel free to download my free ebook, Mastering the 5 Keys to Make Your Business Successful. It's found at my website, nlbusinessadvisors.com/5 keys. That's the number 5 keys. You can also subscribe to my podcast, Business Stories of Success. And if you're really ready to start accelerating your growth, feel free to schedule your free discovery call. We'll talk about where you are today, what your goals are, your challenges, your obstacles, and I can help you to hurdle some of the hurdles to your own business success. Join me at Next Level Business Advisors and schedule your appointment today. Okay, we're back. So you're going to answer the question, what's one big mistake you've made in your business journey?
A mistake could be something as small as being honest. Some people would call it brutal honesty. And sometimes when you speak your truth, you trip people up, you offend somebody, but you didn't mean to. So, intention and intent are really important factors. So I've made mistakes by being too honest at times, and I think that slowed my progress down at times. And I have no one but myself to blame for being too honest at certain times. I was paid to be honest when I was with the newspaper. I have a lot of integrity, and I think that if anything, when I look back, some of those times when you have the whole foot in mouth disease, I think we have to kind of measure the words maybe ahead of time. Think before you speak sometimes, and I think you'll help yourself out a lot. So
Okay.
part of my failures have been at times being too honest or being lazy, not doing what I said to myself. I've always been committed to others. If I say I'm going to be on your show at a certain time or at your house at a certain time, it'll be done. I don't think I've ever run late in my life. I came from a family that was always ahead of time, early, and I was not a casual person living the Hawaii time kind of experience. Because as a chef in restaurants, as a caterer, as all the things that I've been, I could never afford to run late. So that's why I'm always on time. I take huge pride in being a very timely person, never ever standing anybody up, and never letting anyone down.
I like that. I like that. That's cool. You mentioned like, okay, so one of your mistakes is like being brutally honest, or has been brutally honest. So how have you learned from that? Like, how do you mitigate that going forward? Because I kind of feel like we are who we are, right? But we can always change and shape and refashion ourselves to be better. How were you able to do that from your mistakes?
Probably just sizing people up as to knowing whether or not that they could handle it. So I have to make some on-the-fly thinking happen. I have to see whether or not someone says, but we'll use the old example. When your wife or your friend says to you, "Do I look fat in this dress?" If she does, you better not say it. So,
Right.
so you have to be artful with your words. You have to be somewhat diplomatic. That's the kind of stuff. Now, diplomatic doesn't mean evading the truth. It just means softening the truth. So we don't want to turn ourselves into politicians. We just want to be artful speakers. We want to be able to communicate effectively, and we want to watch that people's feelings are always going to be happening at all times, anytime there's communication.
I like that. So you season your words with salt to
Or
make them
sugar.
palatable. I like it. I
Or
like
sugar.
it.
You
I
know, my
like
mom
it.
said, my mom used to say to me, "You attract more flies with honey than you do
Yeah.
to the other stuff."
Yes, yes, yes.
So
I
speak
agree.
nicely.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this question. And this one is one that I ask all of my guests. And I think it's one that I've learned a lot from. So I like to share it with my listeners. What do you think is the single biggest quality needed to be successful in business?
Well, I'll tell you what the single biggest quality it is to be successful in life. Would you like to know that?
Okay, we'll start there.
Okay. Because if you're successful in life, the chances are really, really high that you'll be successful in business. So,
Okay.
and this is not coming straight out of me. This is by way of a lot of science. The people who display the highest level of social skills are the people who are going to be successful in life. Period. It's
Now
not
I'm
the
going to need you to
smartest.
elaborate on that.
Okay, it's not the smartest people. It's not the people with the best grades. It's not the most pretty people. It's the people who are able to communicate effectively.
I like that. I like that. So effective communicators
Yeah.
is one of the most important qualities you think are needed.
It sounds cliche, but I'll tell you what, when you go into a room and you see that you're being magnetized by someone out there in the room, it's because that person's a good, effective communicator. Well, of course, you might see a pretty girl or a pretty guy that you like, but for the most part, if someone can stimulate and engage you through, their verbal skills and their effective communication, you're going to really be plugged in.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't think that sounds cliche, quite honestly. When you really put it in perspective, that we often hear, "Oh, that guy commands a room," or "That lady commands a room," right? When they speak, E.F. Hutton, everyone listens. So I get it. I get it. I like that quality. And in business, so you translate that to business, and I'm going to try to encapsulate that, right? Whatever business you're in, if you can effectively communicate your mission, your goal, your objective, your desired result, you will be successful, right? We do business. I've often heard we do business with people that we know, like, and trust. All three of those things focus around communication.
Sometimes you don't have the chance to know, like, and trust the people you're working with. So you have to build those skills. You have to build those realities. And we're living in a world that's starting to go quickly and rapidly into AI. And so we've got to be careful, because really it all comes down to, in my mind, even with the AI that's burgeoning, the effective communication between humans is really what's going to make everything better and easier. Do
I
you know what I
agree.
mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I like that. And it seems like with more technology, especially young people, they're less engaged in a personal one-to-one level. But boy, that's really critical to success.
Everybody's
in
so
business
busy.
and life. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is like always looking at their phone, and they're sitting down. When I go out to dinner, I look over at the table next to me, and I see a nice young couple or a nice older couple, and inevitably one of them is on their phone. They're sitting down at a restaurant. They're having dinner with their partner, their spouse, or their friend, and they're on their phone. And it blows my mind. And then I watch them eat. And they're so totally mindless. They're just eating because they're shoveling food in their head. And they're not enjoying, they're not savoring the moment. They're not savoring their company. They're not savoring their food.
So
It's
much
like
gets lost.
there's such a disconnect nowadays in life, and that's really kind of what's happening. And I'm all about the connect, not the disconnect. So you should sit down and you should enjoy your company. You should sit down and enjoy your food. Savor the aroma, savor the flavor. Look at the plate architecture, the color. Appreciate the eyes and the colors of the people who you're sitting across from. Listen to what they have to say. Get into that thing. Don't be thinking about, oh, my phone just vibrated or my phone just flashed. I mean, we're so connected to our devices that in and of itself is shortening the lifespan and is hurting our youth. And there's so many bad things about the internet and the devices. So let's get back a little bit into the more of the humanity stuff. We always will be able to utilize the benefit of the devices, but I think giving a little bit more give and take with the people who are in your world, who are still in your world before the robots are here. Now it's time. Let's get healthy. Let's get happy. Let's connect a little bit more.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna pivot a little bit and ask you this question. These two questions focus around business owners specifically. What advice, and because you've been around for a long time, what advice would you give to a brand new business owner?
Find a good mentor. Find someone you know that you can identify, whether it's yourself or through a friend, a trusted friend. Who can I speak to about this? So if it's someone who's listening right now and they want to learn from somebody, let's say, who's had a personal struggle and who has overcome it, and now who can help you, find that person, talk to that person, communicate, let them know what's going on and what you need. I'm happy to help. So when people come to me, I'm open to it. I'm open arms. So don't be fearful about asking for help. And I think that is so vital in life, because a lot of us, especially, people who tend to be very creative don't have that business skill. And people who are really bright with business ideas and skills like that don't have the creative stuff. So you need to find a mentor who can help you fuse all of the various different skill sets that you need for success.
I like that. So have mentors contributed to your success?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was able to identify mentors early on. I used to listen to talk radio before I actually started in radio myself. And I was very fortunate. I was still in my teens when I found a guy named Michael Benner from Los Angeles who used to do a show on the human potential movement. That's what he called it at the time. I listened to him. I was fascinated by him. I loved his voice. I loved his energy, his positivity. I loved that he talked about meditation, because that takes you away from the reality and the stressors of life. And so he was a mentor of mine, became a friend now. How many years later is this? Over 45 years or something. We're still friends. Wow. I reached out to him because after listening to him for a while, I wrote some letters and I made some phone calls. This was pre-internet, BC, okay, before COVID. So it was a long time ago when we didn't have the ability to just open up the screen or a computer and look at someone and talk to them like we're doing right now.
Yeah, no, right? Pretty amazing.
So you had to make different kind of efforts. You had to pound the pavement. You had to go in. You had to have letters, and you had to have handshakes, and you had to be able to communicate effectively. And I think that's what is missing right now from a lot of the various different engagements people are involved with.
Agreed. One final question, if you don't mind.
Oh, final? Again, oh, no, I'm not ready.
Oh, this one's going to be a doozy. No, just kidding.
Okay.
So, if you can go right back to the day before you started your first business venture, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, wow. Listen to your mom.
Okay. I've never heard that one. Of course, I always listen to Mama, but what do you mean by that? What did she tell you that was so profound?
Well, here's the thing. It's not that she told you something so profound the day before you began your career. It's that everything she said is profound. Now, when you can look back and you can actually connect the dots, when you can see, oh, wow, Mom used to say, bring a jacket, it's going to be cool tonight. And you didn't bring a jacket because you were invincible. And that's the way people are when they're young. They don't listen to their moms, and then they go 30 years later, they go, you know what? Mom was right about that. That little small thing. And you know what? She was right about that and that and that too. So listen to people who are older and wiser and who love you, have nothing to gain by hurting you with bad words, bad information. So, that's exactly how I would sum it up. It's like, listen to your mom, think about what she said, and I think you'll be taking the right steps if you can.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I really appreciate your time today. This was a beautiful interview. I love hearing you speak. Your voice is, it's like I'm hearing the radio.
So many years
that.
in radio, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah,
I
it
have
just becomes you.
I have a question for you, Mark, if it's okay.
Okay, hit me.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Why?
I love the heat. I've always loved the heat. I'm born and raised in Manhattan. I live in
Love
Jersey.
it.
And I keep saying I am in the wrong place. I wanted to live in Phoenix, Arizona for years because I love the heat. So when I went to Hawaii, it was paradise.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The heat here is beautiful for
Yes,
people
it is.
like yourself, for sure. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Sure.
Have you ever used super glue more than one time out of the same bottle?
Never.
Right. Because you use it one time because you have a need, and then it dries up, and then you can never use it again.
Correct. Agreed.
It's crazy, and it bothers
Yeah.
me.
I agree.
Oh, there you go. Those are my questions of the day. Just something to
Okay.
think about.
Okay, I'm going to think about that. Well, since we're throwing odd questions, here's my question for you, if you don't mind.
Please.
What is your favorite meal of all time?
When I was traveling in Portugal one time with my sister and my girlfriend, on our way to Morocco, the last night in Portugal, with our camping gear, we went to a few markets, delis, so to speak, picked up some cheese and some pasta and a bunch of veggies, and I made the most outrageous cheesy pasta with Portuguese ingredients that were freshly done up and purchased, and I did it in our hostel, our hotel room, and I still am full from that meal.
Wow.
And it was just so exciting because we got ourselves some wine, and that's, you asked me about meals that stand out. I've eaten at Michelin-starred restaurants. I've created Michelin-starred level food, but that, cooking the pasta, the cheesy pasta in Portugal, in our hotel room with camping gear, really stands out in my mind.
Wow. That's beautiful. Beautiful beauty in simplicity sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Enjoying the
the
experience.
the simplest things are the most difficult things to really make happen, even though they're called simple, like checkers, for instance. It's the simplest game in the world, and it's the hardest game to master.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
those are things to kind of look at. And not
Love it.
everything has to be like, seeing 12 steps ahead. If you could just be in it without having to worry about being ahead of it and listen to people and then be thoughtful with your responses, this kind of is going to apply in all realms of life, whether it's business or love relationships or anything that you're doing for yourself.
I love it. Hey, I want to thank you again. This was really a blast. I look forward to seeing your continued journey to success.
And yours too, Mark. And I want to just reach out to you anytime that you want to come visit here in Hawaii. I'll give you the food tour of your life.
Oh, don't promise it. Boy, I might be there sooner than you know.
Okay, man. That sounds great. Thank you for having me. And I want to say aloha to you and your audience. And if anyone would like to reach me, please do. I'm sure you'll have my info in the show notes.
Yes, aloha, indeed.
Thanks.